Hey, what's going on, guys? I am Jake from TodaysiPhone.com, and we have a ton of cool stuff going on this week, so let's get started. Alright, so the first thing I want to tell you guys about is somebody touched the iPhone 5. Or so they claim. Now, according to this mystery person, the phone has a bigger screen up to 4 inches diagonally, an aluminum rear panel, a liquid metal coating which allows for saturated metal colors, a better quality screen in terms of color saturation, a flat capacitive home button, a flatter profile, a 10 megapixel camera, a prototype version of Siri that's called Assistant, and they also noted that it had poor battery life, but that could just be because it's a prototype. Now all this stuff is basically pretty standard. You know, we're getting back to the iPhone 5 rumors from a couple months ago. The only new things here are the liquid metal coating and the 10 megapixel camera as opposed to an 8 megapixel camera. I'm not sure what saturated metal colors are, but I don't think Apple would really release a blue iPhone or a pink iPhone. So if that's what that's talking about, then I don't believe this. But regardless of whether that's true or not, I don't really believe any of this. First of all, the 5th generation iPhone is already out, so they're not going to name the 6th gen iPhone the iPhone 5. I mean, they didn't name the iPhone 4 the iPhone 2 because the 3G and the 3GS don't really count as like generation numbers, so that's strange. And then, especially following the debacle with the iPhone 4 in the bar that I'm sure all of you still remember, I really highly doubt Apple's letting people that aren't working on the device like feel and hold and even see or know about the device because, you know, they're such a secretive company. I don't know, this just doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, I'm glad to see that we're getting back to the iPhone 5 rumors again, and by glad I mean disappointed, and I don't want to do that. The screen just did. What do you guys think? Do you believe this iPhone 5 hands-on rumor, or do you agree with me and with Cam and say that it's not true? Alright, moving on. The unlocked iPhone 4S is now available in the US online Apple Store. If you head over there now, you can check out the 16GB iPhone 4S unlocked for $649, and then it goes up to $749 for the 32 gigs and $849 for the 64 gigs. Keep in mind that these only work on GSM carriers, so you're not going to be able to use it on Verizon or Sprint, but it's nice to have the option to get an unlocked iPhone and, you know, maybe use it on T-Mobile or something, so definitely check that out if you're interested. Okay, moving on to follow up a story from last week when we told you guys that Apple was working on iOS 5.0.1 to fix some battery issues. Well, it's out now. You can update on iTunes or over the air on Wi-Fi on your device, and I did it over the air on my iPad and my iPhone 4 and it worked fine. I haven't noticed any changes because I wasn't having any battery issues to begin with, so it's nothing to me. But unfortunately, it seems like some people updated and are still experiencing the very poor battery life. Yeah, I mean, overall the reviews seem to be mixed. Some people online are saying that their battery life improved drastically, while some people are saying that, you know, they let it sit for a couple hours and it decreased 20% in standby. So it definitely didn't fix all of the problems, and Apple is aware of this. They released a statement saying, "The recent iOS software update addressed many of the battery issues that customers experienced on their iOS 5 devices. We continue to investigate the few remaining issues." So, there you have it. Those of you who did update your devices, have you noticed a change in your battery life? In the meantime, we have a couple posts on how to increase your battery life until Apple actually provides a real fix for this. So go check those out, links in the description below, and hopefully we can get your device at least working pretty good until Apple can fix it or give you a new one or do whatever they gotta do. Okay, moving on to something that's probably making Steve Jobs smile pretty big up there in heaven. Mobile Flash Player is dead! Adobe announced this week that it will release one more update for Mobile Flash Player on the BlackBerry Playbook and Android devices, and then it's going to cease development on the project in favor of HTML5. This is pretty huge. When Apple first announced that Flash would never make it to iOS devices, people were skeptical that it was a good move. People were skeptical that Apple could, you know, keep that resolve even though Flash was so popular. And over time, it's been appearing on more and more Android devices, and I mean, at least for me, it hasn't really been that spectacular. It's been buggy, it's been kind of slow, and I don't know. I mean, I guess Apple was right because now HTML5 is more universally adopted with mobile devices, and Adobe's gonna jump on that bandwagon instead. Now keep in mind that Adobe Air, which sort of converts Flash programs into iOS compatible formats and stuff, will still be around, and as will Flash Player for desktops. It's going to take a lot longer for that to go away. But Flash Player for mobile is done. Do you guys agree with Apple's decision to not include and basically kill off mobile flash? Or do you think that, they should have been a little more accommodating and give customers the option to go to a website with mobile flash or not? It's not really Apple's nature to provide a bunch of choices and then let people choose. They usually pick which one they think is the best and then sort of shove that on you. But I'm sure some people out there are disappointed about the flash going away and they would like to see Flash Player on iOS devices, so weigh in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts on this. Okay, next, a hidden panorama feature, which has been rumored for a while now, was discovered in the code for iOS 5, and you can actually enable it on your device without a jailbreak. You just have to download an application to your computer that allows you to adjust the code in an iOS backup, and then you back up your device to that adjusted backup, and then boom, you have panorama camera built right into the camera app. It looks pretty cool. Most of the people reading the article commented saying that it was working, which is nice. Keep in mind that, today's iPhone assumes no responsibility for what could go wrong with your device, and obviously there's always a potential for something to go wrong when you're editing Apple code, and it probably breaks some sort of warranty or something, so keep that in mind as well. But if you are brave enough to try this, I'd love to know how it works. And finally, Siri was ported to the iPhone 3GS, proving once and for all that Siri can run on older devices. It won't, though, at least not officially. Apple has come out and said that Siri will remain an iPhone 4S exclusive feature. They have no plans to bring it to previous generations, and while at first this could have seemed just like a ploy to get people to upgrade, which I'm sure that's part of it, it turns out that the iPhone 4S has a modified proximity sensor. It basically shines an infrared light out into the open whenever the screen is turned on, and this is because Siri has a raise to speak feature, which means when you raise your phone to your face, Siri knows that it should get ready to take your voice commands because it's close to your mouth. The older iPhones obviously don't have that sensor, so that's probably partially why Siri will remain an iPhone 4S exclusive feature. It's too bad. I mean, Siri can clearly run on older iPhones, but I'm not altogether surprised that Apple won't allow it to. Okay, well that's all the big news for this week, guys. Thank you very, very much for watching, and definitely keep in mind that the links to all of these stories I talked about in this video are in the description down below, as I said like 100 times throughout this video. Today's iPhone now has a Google Plus page, so go add us to your circles. If you want to talk to me about anything I talked about in this video, or just chat about anything in general, you can follow me on Twitter at TIP_Jake. I try to answer everybody that tweets me, so if you have something to say, the best place to do it is there. And as always, for more news, views, and reviews, definitely head over to TodaysiPhone.com.